Hello everyone, my name's Oliver and I'm an assistant psychologist from the Department of Psychological Medicine, and we're here today with a webinar on strategies for managing anxiety and stress. Okay, so let's just get straight in. So the first way that we can manage stress and anxiety is by using what's known as the worry tree. It's very simple, but it can really help us get worries and stresses into perspective. So it works like this. First, you identify what it is exactly that you're worrying about. And then once you've identified what it is you're worrying about, you ask yourself, is there anything that you can do about it? Now, if the answer is no, then you have to realise that, there's not much that you can do about this worry. And you have pretty much no other option than to try and let it go. And we can do this by prioritising self-care and by practicing relaxation and other psychological strategies, which I'll be going over in a few moments. Now, imagine you ask yourself, is there anything you can do about it? And the answer is yes. Well, then you might as well do that, because hopefully by doing something about it, you can minimise the stress and the worry. Then once you've done that, you need to again try to let it go. And just like before, we do this by prioritising self-care and by practicing relaxation and other psychological strategies. Now, there's an app in the App Store and the Google Play Store called the Worry Tree. Now, the Worry Tree app essentially guides you through what we've just done, and it's a really nice, simple way of getting worries and stresses into perspective. So I think if you're struggling with worries or stress, this could be your first point of call. Now, the next strategy I'd like to cover is known as the worry window, or scheduling worry. Now, worrying can often feel insistent. It feels like we have to worry, even when there's nothing that we can do about that particular worry. And often worrying can feel uncontrollable. It's almost like worrying takes on a life of its own. But what we can do is we can actually plan worry around our day to basically minimise the impacts it has on our day. So in practice, it might look a little bit like this. So imagine you get home at, let's say, 4:15. So what you could do then is say, okay, well, as soon as I get home, between 5 and 5:30 is going to be my worry window. And during this window, I'm going to do nothing but worry. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to worry about whatever I want, in whatever way I want. But outside of this worry window, so outside of that 30-minute slot, you need to really do your best to not worry outside of it. Easier said than done, but with practice, it gets a lot easier, and it can actually be quite an effective way of dealing with worry. Now, for some people, this can be quite difficult, understandably, so there are other techniques. So the next one is paced breathing. Now, this is again a really simple strategy, but can be rather effective, especially when you're feeling panicked. And there's plenty of research to show that paced breathing does reduce anxiety, low mood, reduces anger, and it can even increase our alertness. Now, the key to achieving paced breathing is to breathe at a rate of 10 breaths per minute or less. Okay, so to pace your breathing, what I'd like you to do with me is to get reasonably comfy and just practice with me first. So using your stomach, and you can put your hand on your stomach so that you can feel this. Breathe in through your nose for about 2 to 4 seconds, and then breathe out through pursed lips for 4 to 6 seconds. And the reason why we have our hand on our stomach is so that we can really notice the inflation of the stomach. So just with me, let's have a quick practice. So breathe in through the nose, then out through pursed lips. So on the out breath, there's often an audible sound as you expel your air through those pursed lips. So feel free to have a little practice. If it's your first time ever doing this, it can take a bit of getting used to. But the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes and the more effective it becomes. So let's just try together one more time, breathing in through your stomach, through the nose for 2 to 4 seconds, and breathing out through pursed lips 4 to 6 seconds. Okay, so here's a nice little diagram that can guide you through paced breathing. So, if you will, just spend a few moments giving that a practice. So really focusing on the breath, breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Okay, so hopefully you practiced that a bit. So just notice whether you feel any different after doing that. Of course, the longer you do it, the more effective it becomes. And if it's your first time doing it, you're probably having to really focus on getting the timings right and breathing, through the nose and out the mouth. But the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes and the more effective it becomes. And like I said, if you were to do this for a couple of minutes, that would be more effective than just doing it for, say, 30 seconds. But hopefully after doing that, you do feel a bit more relaxed. Now, the beauty about paced breathing is that it's simple and you can do it anywhere. You can do it on your lunch break. You could do it on your walk home. You can do it before bed, and you can even do it while you're doing stuff. As you make this skill more automatic, you can do it almost without thinking. Okay, lovely. So that was paced breathing. Now, the next technique is known as progressive muscle relaxation. And this is the technique that's especially good for those of us that feel physically tense. And what's quite nice about this exercise is that it provides biofeedback. It lets us know how tense we're feeling. It lets us know how relaxed we're feeling. And the more we do it, the more we can notice any tension in the body, and we can notice where it is. We can often feel a lot of tension for so long that we just don't even realize anymore that we're feeling so tense, because it almost becomes our new normal. Okay, so let's crack on and give some progressive muscle relaxation a go. So essentially, what we'll be doing is muscle by muscle, we'll be tensing as hard as we can, and then holding it for about 5 seconds, and then relaxing quickly and suddenly. And what we know from this is that when we tense a muscle, hold it, and relax suddenly and quickly, is that we cause it to relax to a greater degree than what it was before we tensed. Now, while we do this, we'll also be implementing a breathing technique. So as we tense the muscle, we're going to be breathing in through the nose and then holding it. Then as we relax the muscle quickly and suddenly, we're going to exhale through the mouth. So just to repeat myself, muscle by muscle, we'll be tensing as hard as we can. And as we do this, we're going to breathe in through the nose and then hold. And then relax the muscle quickly and suddenly. And as we do so, we're going to exhale slowly through the mouth, similar to the paced breathing that we just did. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start with the dominant hand and forearm. So to tense these muscles, we're going to make a tight fist, and we should hopefully feel tension in the hand over the knuckles and up into the lower arm. So when you're ready, I'd like you to tense as hard as you can and breathe in, hold, and then exhale slowly through the mouth. Now let's move over to the dominant bicep. So that's number 7 on the diagram in front of you. So to tense this area, we're going to push the elbow against the arm of the chair or against the bed, while simultaneously pulling the elbow towards the body inwards. Make sure to keep the muscles in the lower arm and hand relaxed. Okay, so we can tense and inhale and hold, and then relax suddenly and exhaling through the mouth. Lovely. Now we can move over to the non-dominant hand and forearm. And tense, breathing in, holding it, and relaxing quickly and suddenly while exhaling through the mouth. Lovely. Now let's do the non-dominant biceps. So back to number 7. Okay, and tense, hold, and relax. Now we can do the forehead. So to do this, lift your eyebrows as high as possible to make an exaggerated frown. So you should feel tension in the forehead and in the upper scalp region. And tense, hold, and relax. Now let's do the upper cheeks and nose. So to do this, squint your eyes very tightly and at the same time wrinkle your nose. So you should feel tension in the central parts of the face. And tense as hard as you can, breathing in, holding, and exhaling slowly while relaxing. Next is the lower cheeks and jaws. So to do this, we can bite together, not too hard, and then pull the corners of the mouth back so that we can feel tension through the lower parts of the face and the jaw. And tense as hard as you can, holding it, and relaxing quickly and suddenly. Excellent. Next is the neck and throat. So to tense this, pull the chin downwards towards the chest and at the same time prevent it from actually touching your chest. Or you can press your head back against the chair or the bed, wherever you're sitting or lying. So you should feel a bit of trembling in the neck muscles when we do this. Okay, and tense, holding it, and relaxing. Next are the chest, shoulders, and upper back. So to do this, you can pull your shoulder blades together, trying to touch them, or by holding an exaggerated shoulder shrug. So you should hopefully be feeling tension in the chest, shoulders, and the upper back. So when you're ready, and tense, hold, and relax. Now we can do the abdominal region or the stomach region. So you should feel some tightness in the stomach, making it feel hard. Okay, and tense, breathing in from the nose, holding it, and relaxing suddenly while exhaling through the mouth. Lovely. Now we can do the dominant thigh. So that's number 3 and 4 on the diagram. So make the thigh hard and feel tightness there when we do this. Okay, and tense, hold, and relax. Lovely. Now we can do the dominant calf or lower leg. So that's number 2. So you should feel tension in the lower part of the leg. And we can do this by pulling our toes upwards towards our head. Okay, and tense, hold, and relax. Now let's do the dominant foot. So to tense this, we can point the toe and turn the foot inwards while at the same time curling the toes. But don't do this too hard because sometimes we can get some cramping in the foot. Okay, so when you're ready, and tense, hold, and relax. Next is the non-dominant thigh, so back to number 3 and 4. And tense, hold, and relax. Next we can move on to the non-dominant calf or the lower leg, so back to number 2. And tense, hold, and relax. And finally, we have the non-dominant foot. And tense, hold, and relax. Okay, so that's every muscle that we've gone through now. Now what you could do is then repeat this for a second time to get the most out of it. But just for the webinar, we'll do it just the once. So just notice how your body feels now after doing that. Do you notice any differences, any changes? Do you notice the muscles feeling any different? What some people find is after doing this, they actually notice the body and the muscles in the body just feeling a bit more relaxed and a bit more at ease. And like I said, to get the most out of it, you can then do this process a second time over. And if it's your first time doing this, it can be a bit complicated because you're having to locate the muscle, you're having to tense it, and at the same time coordinate your breathing with it. But the more you do it, the better that you get at it, the more automatic it becomes, and the more effective it becomes, the more relaxing it becomes. Okay, so that was progressive muscle relaxation. Now, the next strategy that we're going to cover is known as a grounding strategy, and this is especially useful when we find our thoughts just spiraling out of control, or when we can get almost too in our own heads, if you know what I mean. So this strategy involves grounding ourselves in the present moment by using the senses. So it's very, very, very similar, and in some ways the same as mindfulness. But there will be more on that in my other webinar. So what the grounding strategy basically involves is paying as much attention as you can to the following senses that I'll talk you through. So what you really need to do is you really need to focus and pay attention as fully and as receptively as you can to the senses. And while we do this, try not to analyze or judge. We're not trying to describe the sounds or what we can hear or what we can see. So we're not trying to judge, analyze, describe. Just simply notice the things that we can, touch or smell or hear or whatever sense that we're focusing on. And while we do this, you might find that your mind wanders, which is completely normal. But what's important is that when you do notice your mind wandering, that you bring your attention back to the sense being observed. Now, some people find this quite hard at first, but just like the other strategies that we've covered, with practice, you get a lot better at it. And as you get better at it, the more effective it is. Okay, so let's give this a go. So first of all, let's focus on what you can see. So really noticing maybe 5 objects in your surroundings. So once you've noticed an object, really notice the shapes, notice the colours. Imagine that you've never ever seen this object before. Just really notice the intricate details, the different patterns maybe, the shapes, the colours, the different shades of colours. Really notice the different objects that we're focusing on. And if any thoughts or feelings do occur, just notice them and then bring your attention back to the object being observed. Okay, now we can pay attention to what we can hear. So just focusing on any sounds around us. And again, not trying to label or analyze or describe, just simply noticing any sounds around us. You're welcome to close your eyes if that feels more comfortable to you. Okay, and next, let's pay attention to what we can feel. So maybe you can feel the chair or the bed against your body. Maybe you can feel your shoe against your foot. Whatever you can feel, simply notice it. And next, we can focus on what we can smell. Now, don't worry if you can't smell anything in particular, just notice any kind of smells around you. And again, if thoughts or feelings do come, just notice and then bring your attention back to any smells that you can notice. And then finally, let's really focus on what we can taste. And again, we're not trying to analyze or label or look for any particular taste, just simply notice the tastes that might be in the mouth right now. Okay, so that was a grounding strategy, very similar to mindfulness, and those are that's the end of the strategies that we'll be covering today. And like I've been saying throughout, repeated practice is key. When you first practice these strategies, you're not used to it, you're having to really focus on it, it's very, very novel. But the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes, the more instinctive it becomes, and the more effective it becomes. And the more often that we do it, the more effective it is as well. So really, it's ideal if you can spend maybe 10-15 minutes a day practicing some of these strategies, especially in the morning. I think doing some of these in the morning is quite a nice way to start the day, even if it's just on your way to work, maybe using the grounding strategy, really focusing on what you can see on your way to work, what you can hear, what you can feel, or even doing the paced breathing on your way to work. Okay, so I'd like to leave you with a weekly goal, so a goal for the next week, and that is to try some of these strategies. And as you do them, notice how you feel before and after. See if there are any differences. And notice if it becomes easier the more you do it. Now, some other resources that you can use to kind of manage anxiety and stress are things like, for example, the app Sleepio or the website Sleepio. That's a really good tool to help manage sleep. If you haven't already given that a look, that's a really good app that can do wonders for your sleep. Then there's also the app Headspace. I'm a big fan of Headspace. I think it's really good, and it will guide you through mindfulness and other relaxation strategies, and it will actually teach you and guide you through the different processes. Okay, well, we've reached the end of the webinar. I hope you learnt something useful, and do take care, and all the best. Bye for now.